The rain outside the docking bay fell like silver needles, tapping against the metal walls of the space station. Ethan Cross walked through the crowded hall, his boots leaving wet marks on the steel floor. His shift had ended hours ago, but he couldn't sleep. The air smelled of engine oil and alien spices. The cantina at the far end of the market was alive with noise, strange laughter, clinking glasses, and the hum of alien music that didn't follow any human rhythm. Ethan pushed open the door. Warm air rushed over him, filled with the smell of roasted meat and burning plasma from the kitchen. Dozens of species filled the tables: scaled merchants, four-eyed miners, tall insectoid guards. A few humans were scattered in the crowd, but most were off-duty freighter pilots keeping to themselves. He ordered a cheap drink at the bar and found a corner seat. He didn't notice her at first. She was sitting alone in the shadows, her hood pulled low over her face, her hands, pale with a faint silver glow, rested on the table. When Ethan took a sip of his drink, she moved, slowly. She slid a small silver cup across the table toward him. The cup was cold even through the metal surface. Her voice was calm but carried a strange echo. "One sip, and you'll never be human again," she said. Ethan stared at her, unsure if she was serious. The cantina's noise faded as he realized the other patrons were watching. Conversations died. A scaled merchant slowly stood and walked out. A pair of insectoid guards turned their heads away. He tried to laugh. "What is this, some alien dare?" Her eyes, glowing faintly from under the hood, never blinked. "Once you drink, there is no going back," she said. Ethan felt a strange tension in the air, as if the whole room was holding its breath. He glanced at the bar. Even the bartender was watching. The drink in the cup was black, but not like any liquid he had seen. It shimmered like moving smoke trapped in glass. "You're serious," he said quietly. She leaned closer, and Ethan caught a faint scent. Not perfume, not anything human. Something like rain hitting hot stone. "I am the last one who can give you this," she whispered, "and the last one who will warn you." Ethan's pride rose. He hated being told what not to do. "Why me?" he asked. Her lips curved in a strange, sad smile. "Because you are still free," she said, "and because they have not found you yet." Before Ethan could ask who they were, someone at the far end of the room stood and left quickly. An insectoid guard spoke into a comm device. The hooded woman's glowing eyes flicked toward the exit. "They are coming," she said softly. "Decide now." Ethan looked at the cup again. His heart was beating faster. He didn't know if it was fear, curiosity, or stubbornness. Outside the cantina, heavy boots echoed in the corridor. The woman pushed the cup closer. The black liquid rippled on its own, like it was alive. "One sip, and you will never be human again," she repeated. "But you will survive." The door to the cantina hissed open. 4 armored figures stepped inside. They were not human, their armor marked with the crimson crest of the Galactic Senate enforcers. Their faces were hidden behind silver masks. The whole cantina went silent. The woman's eyes locked on his. "Now," she whispered. Ethan heard his own voice say, "Fine," and he lifted the cup. The cold metal burned his fingers. He took a sip. The liquid flowed into his mouth like fire and ice at once, sweet and bitter, heavy and light. It burned down his throat, and for a moment, he thought he couldn't breathe. The room spun, every sound sharpened. The hum of the lights, the slow heartbeat of the bartender, the click of the enforcer's boots. The woman reached across the table and gripped at his wrist. Her touch was warm, almost too warm. "It has begun," she said. The enforcers were pushing through the crowd now, weapons in hand. The woman stood, pulling Ethan to his feet. The air around him felt charged, like the moment before lightning strikes. He didn't know what was happening to him, but he knew one thing. Whatever he had just drunk, there was no turning back. The moment the black liquid touched his tongue, Ethan felt like the universe tilted. His knees almost gave way, but the woman's grip on his wrist kept him upright. The silver patterns crawled under his skin, faint but alive, swirling like tiny rivers of light. The enforcers moved fast, cutting through the cantina's tables with brutal efficiency. Chairs toppled, glass shattered. Ethan's senses exploded. He could hear their armor joints creak, smell the strange metallic tang of their breath filters, and even feel the vibration of their steps through the floor. The hooded woman leaned close, her words like a blade. "Do not fight them yet. You will not win now." But his body was already reacting. A chair flew past him, an alien screamed, and Ethan moved without thinking. ducking under a plasma shot before it was even fired. The enforcer who aimed at him blinked in shock, as if surprised he could read their move. What is happening to me? Ethan gasped, but his voice sounded different, heavier, deeper, as though layered with something not entirely human. The woman didn't answer. She pulled him toward the back door, but an enforcer blocked the way. His mask was smooth silver, no eyes, no mouth, only the Senate crest on the forehead. He raised his weapon. Ethan's vision narrowed, time slowed, the burning heat in his veins surged. His hand shot out, grabbing the weapon's barrel. The metal hissed against his skin, but instead of burning him, it bent, warped under his grip. The enforcer jerked back in alarm. Gasps rippled through the room. The other enforcers hesitate. This wasn't in their orders. Humans weren't supposed to do this. The woman shoved Ethan through the back exit into a narrow maintenance corridor. Steam hissed from pipes overhead. The air was thick and damp. Footsteps pounded behind them. You drank all of it, she said, her voice almost accusing. I told you one sip. Ethan stumbled, gripping the wall. What's the difference? Her hood fell back as she turned to face him. For the first time, Ethan saw her clearly. Her skin was pale silver, faintly luminous, her hair a cascade of white gold. Her eyes, entirely without pupils, were like pools of starlight. The difference, she said, is that now you will change faster than any of my kind ever did. The corridor shook as the enforcers broke through the door behind them. The woman grabbed Ethan's hand. We must get off this station now. They sprinted through the twisting maintenance tunnels, Ethan moving faster than he thought possible. His lungs didn't burn, his legs didn't tire, his mind was racing. Every corner, every turn, every shadow seemed clearer, like he had been living blind before tonight. Finally, they burst out onto a lower docking platform. Ships hovered in their berths, steam rising from engines. The woman pointed to a small, rusted freighter at the far end. There, she said. If we can reach it, you will live. But before they could move, the largest enforcer stepped out from behind a stack of crates. This one's armor was black-edged with crimson, a commander. His voice was deep and cold. You are under arrest, human, and the traitor dies now. Ethan's heart pounded, but fear didn't come. Instead, something inside him stirred, a deep, dangerous calm. His vision locked on the commander, and for a moment, the world blurred away. All he saw was the enemy, and all he felt was the need to strike. The woman sensed it too, her grip tightened. Oh. And his arm, not here, not now. If you unleash it here, the whole station will burn. Ethan's breath slowed, the silver patterns on his skin pulsed like they were alive, and somewhere in the back of his mind, a single thought whispered, clear and commanding, you are not prey anymore. The enforcer commander took a step forward, his armored boots clanging on the metal floor. Ethan could hear the sound as if it was inside his head, every vibration sharp and clear. The woman, Lyra, moved in front of him, her stance low, ready to fight. The commander's weapon hummed with lethal energy. Step aside, Lyra, he is infected. You know the Senate law. Ethan felt a strange heat rise in his chest. The silver patterns on his skin began to glow faintly. His breathing slowed, but his heartbeat, it was steady, calm, as if his body knew something his mind did not. Lyra's voice was sharp. He is not infected, he is chosen. The commander tilted his head. Then he will die faster. Without warning, the enforcers moved in. Plasma fire lit the docking bay. Lyra spun and knocked 2 bolts aside with her bare hands. Ethan ducked behind a crate, but the moment his palms touched the cold metal, something inside him snapped. The crate groaned under his grip, and with almost no effort, he hurled it across the platform. The heavy metal block crashed into an enforcer, sending him flying into a wall. Everyone froze for a fraction of a second. Ethan stared at his hands, his skin alive with crawling silver light. His ears picked up the rapid breathing of the other enforcers, the faint hiss of their armor systems adjusting power. Even the distant hum of the station's reactor reached him. Lyra grabbed his shoulder. Ethan, listen to me. The essence is rewriting you now. Your cells, your mind, your strength, all changing. He blinked, trying to focus. Rewriting me into what? Her expression hardened, into something the Senate fears above all else. An enforcer lunged from the side, blade crackling. Ethan didn't think. His hand shot out and caught the blade. The weapon hissed and sparked, but he didn't let go. With a twist, he shattered it like glass. The enforcer stumbled back, staring at the broken hilt. Lyra's eyes widened, not in fear, in recognition. It's faster than I thought. The memories will come soon. Memories? Ethan asked, but then he saw it, a flash of a battlefield under a red sky, alien towers burning, and him, or someone like him, standing among ruins with the same glowing patterns. He staggered, gripping his head. The visions came in waves, hundreds of battles, voices in languages he didn't know yet understood. A name kept echoing, deep and resonant, the Starbreaker. The commander's voice cut through. Kill him now. 2 enforcers charged, but Ethan stepped forward this time. His movement was so fast the air rippled around him. He struck one in the chest, sending him skidding across the floor. The other raised his weapon, but Ethan ripped it away and crushed it in his hand. Lyra pulled him toward the ship. No more fighting here. The Senate will send an entire squadron. We need to leave. Ethan followed, but inside, something was shifting. His fear was gone, replaced with a hunger he didn't understand, a hunger for more power. He looked at the enforcer commander one last time. The silver patterns on his skin pulsed like a heartbeat. The commander didn't move, but Ethan could feel his fear through the air. He didn't know how, but he knew. The Senate had not faced anything like this in a very long time. As they ran up the ramp of the rusted freighter, Lyra glanced at him. From this moment, you are no longer just human, she said. You are the weapon they swore would never return. The ship's engines roared to life, and as they lifted off, Ethan looked out the viewport at the shrinking station. A sin. GLE thought echoed in his mind, loud and certain. They should have stopped me before I drank it. The freighter rattled as it tore away from the station. The hull groaned under the strain, warning lights flashing red across the cockpit. Lyra's hands moved fast over the controls, her silver fingers dancing over buttons with precision. Ethan sat in the co-pilot's chair, gripping the armrests, watching the black sea of space open before them. Hold on, Lyra said. They will not let us go without a chase. Ethan didn't have to ask who they were. A low hum filled the cabin, deep enough to rattle his bones. The ship's sensors lit up, 6 crimson blips closing in from behind. The Senate enforcers had deployed hunters. Through the viewport, sleek black ships emerged from the shadows, their hulls glowing faintly with red lines. Their engines left a shimmering trail in the void. Ethan could feel them, not just see them. Their intent, sharp and focused, like claws reaching for his throat. They can't follow us forever, Ethan said, though his voice was uncertain. They don't need forever, Lyra replied. They just need one clear shot. A burst of plasma streaked past the freighter, close enough to light up the cabin. The ship jolted as another blast skimmed the shields. Ethan's pulse quickened, but strangely, he didn't feel afraid. Instead, the same strange calm returned. The silver patterns on his skin began to glow faintly. Lyra noticed. No, not yet, she warned. If you let it take over now, you might lose control. Ethan's eyes narrowed. And if I don't, we both die. The hunters formed a V-shape, boxing them in. Lyra's hands flew over the controls, diving between floating wreckage and debris fields. The ship shuddered as it scraped past a massive chunk of metal, the twisted remains of some long-dead cruiser. They're hurting us, Ethan realized, watching the radar. They want us to go somewhere. Exactly, Lyra said grimly. Into their net. The Black K ship suddenly broke formation, revealing what they had been pushing them toward. A massive Senate warship drifting ahead, its bulk blocking the stars. The name glowed faintly across its hull. Vigilant Crown. Ethan felt it before he saw it. A crushing presence, like the air in the ship had thickened. What is that? He asked, his voice low. Their flagship in this sector, Lyra replied. If they take you there, you will never leave alive. The Vigilant Crown began to open, massive hangar doors glowing like a red mouth in the darkness. The hunters tightened their circle, pushing the freighter toward it. Ethan's fingers twitched on the armrest. The glow under his skin grew stronger. Lyra's voice was urgent now. Ethan, listen to me. The essence gives you more than strength. It gives you reach. You can feel them, can't you? He closed his eyes for just a second, and there they were, 6 sharp presences behind them, one overwhelming force ahead. Every movement, every thought from the enemy pilots. He could sense them, like their minds were sparks in the dark. You can push back, Lyra said, but it will hurt. Plasma fire roared past the freighter again, and that was enough. Ethan reached out, not with his hands, but with something deeper. The nearest hunter ship shuddered in space, its engines sputtering. The pilot's mind screamed in shock. Ethan felt it, and pushed harder. The ship spun out of control, smashing into another hunter, both vanishing in a burst of fire. Lyra's head snapped toward him, her eyes wide. I know, Ethan said quietly, the glow on his skin burning brighter. The vigilant crown began to fire, red energy beams slicing through space. Ethan stood, moving to the viewport. His voice was calm, deadly calm. Tell me how close we can get before our shields fail. Lyra hesitated, too close for a human to survive. Ethan's lip curved into a thin smile. Good thing I'm not just human anymore. The freighter turned toward the warship's mouth of fire. The freighter dove straight toward the vigilant crown, alarms screaming across the cockpit. Lyra's eyes stayed locked on the targeting display, her voice low and urgent. Shields at 40%, one more hit and a blast of red energy tore across the hull, rocking the ship. Sparks rained from the ceiling. Ethan gripped the edge of the console, the silver glow under his skin burning hot. I can feel them, he said, his voice almost distant. All of them. Lyra glanced at him sharply. Then use it. Push them back. Ethan closed his eyes, letting the glow spread. In his mind, the galaxy shifted. The warship and its hunters were no longer just metal. They were living things with thoughts and fears. Each pilot was a spark in the darkness, their emotions like heat on his skin. He reached for the closest one, felt their breath quicken, their pulse spike, and then he pushed. The hunter ship swerved wildly, smashing into the vigilant crown's hangar doors before it could close. Fire bloomed. Debris scattered, but more ships poured out. The Senate was done playing defense. Lyra's voice cut through the chaos. Ethan, listen to me. The Senate has feared this power for thousands of years. They wiped out every race that ever touched the essence. They will not stop until you are gone. Ethan opened his eyes, the silver patterns now crawling up his neck. Then we make sure they fail. He stepped away from the co-pilot's chair, moving toward the center of the cockpit. Open the viewport. Shields, he said, Lyra's brow furrowed. That will expose us. Do it, Ethan said. She hesitated, then tapped the control. The thick layer of reinforced glass became clear. The vigilant crown loomed ahead, massive and ancient, its hull scarred from centuries of battles. Rows of weapon turrets tracked their every move. Ethan stared at it, his breathing slow, the glow under his skin said in rhythm with his heart. They think I'm prey, he said softly. Let's show them the truth. He reached out with his mind again, but this time, not to one ship, to all of them. A wave of pressure rolled out from him, invisible but crushing. Pilots gasped, some screamed, several ships spun out of formation, weapons firing in random directions. The vigilant crown systems flickered, as if the great warship itself had felt his touch. Lyra's eyes widened. You're not just pushing them, you're rewriting their fear. Ethan didn't answer, his focus was deep. He could feel the commander of the vigilant crown, that same crushing presence from before, but now, it felt different, less certain. The commander's voice echoed in Ethan's head, not through comms, not through any device, but as clear as thought. What are you? Ethan's lips curled in a smile. You're ending. The vigilant crown opened fire, beams of red slicing through the void. The freighter dove, weaving between blasts, but one struck the port side. The cabin shook violently. Alarms screamed louder. Lyra gritted her teeth. We can't win a head-on fight. Ethan's eyes never left the warship. We're not here to win, he said. We're here to warn them. Before she could ask what he meant, Ethan raised both hands. The glow on his skin flared bright enough to light the cockpit, and in the silence between heartbeats, the space around the vigilant crown began to twist. The space in front of the vigilant crown bent like heat haze. Stars warped and stretched, the blackness rippling as if something massive was pressing through from another place. The warship slowed, its weapons hesitating. The Senate hunters pulled back, forming a loose circle, none daring to come closer. Ethan stood in the center of the cockpit, the glow under his skin now ablaze. His eyes reflected the shifting void outside. His voice was Ow, steady, I can tear it open. Lyra's voice was sharp, almost panicked. No, Ethan, you don't know what's behind that veil. Even my people feared it. He glanced at her. Your people feared everything. A deep vibration rolled through the ship, not from the engines, not from weapons fire. From him, the metal walls hummed. tiny bolts rattled loose, every display screen flickered between static and images of unknown stars, alien landscapes, shattered planets. Lyra gripped the console, her voice trembling. This is the Echo Rift, only the ancients could call it, and once opened, it never truly closes. Ethan's lips pressed into a thin line. Then they'll remember why they swore never to face it again. The vigilant crown began firing again, desperate, beams slicing past the freighter. One grazed the hull, sending a shower of sparks into the cabin, but Ethan didn't flinch. His mind was locked on the rift, pulling it wider. Through the distortion, shadows began to move, vast shapes, larger than ships, gliding in the black. Their forms were wrong for the human eye, constantly shifting, bending light in ways that hurt to watch. The air in the cockpit grew heavy, like breathing through water. The Senate commander's voice echoed in Ethan's mind again, no longer steady. Close it now. Ethan almost laughed. You should have thought of that before you hunted me. One of the shadow shapes drifted closer to the tear. Its surface shimmered like liquid metal, and as it pressed against the veil, a deep, resonant sound rolled through space. The hunters scattered in panic, some firing wildly, others jumping to hyperspace without orders. Lyra stepped forward, her voice urgent. Ethan, listen to me. If they cross into this galaxy, they will not stop at the Senate, they will not stop at anyone. He turned to her, the silver glow on his skin pulsing with each heartbeat. I'm counting on it. For a moment, their eyes locked, hers filled with fear, his with cold certainty. Then he turned back to the rift. The shadow beast's edge touched reality, and where it did, space itself cracked like glass. A pulse of energy ripped through the battlefield, knocking Senate ships tumbling. The vigilant crown's shields flared and failed, parts of its hull breaking away into the void. Lyra grabbed Ethan's arm. If you let it all the way through, there's no going back. Not for you, not for this galaxy. Ethan's voice was quiet, but it carried the weight of the void itself. I told you, Lyra. I'm not just human anymore. The rift flared open, flooding the stars with impossible light. The rift roared like a living storm, light and shadow twisting together, swallowing stars in its edges. The shadow beasts moved fully into real space now, their forms impossible to hold in a single thought. Each movement seemed to bend time, each sound felt like it echoed inside the bones. The vigilant crown fired everything it had, but the beams passed through the creatures like smoke. The Senate commander's voice thundered over open channels, desperate. All ships, focus fire on the human. He is the breach. Ethan stood at the viewport, the glow under his skin now a full blaze. His eyes were no longer just human, they shone with a molten silver light. He didn't step back when the warship's main cannon charged. Instead, he stepped forward, placing his palm against the cold glass. Lyra shouted, Ethan, if you do this, there will be no return. You'll be one of them. He glanced at her, a faint smile on his lips. Maybe that's what I was meant to be. The vigilant crown fired. A beam of crimson energy as wide as a city street tore across space toward them. Ethan raised his hand. The beam slowed, then froze in midair. Its light fractured, breaking into streams that wrapped around his arm. The silver glow surged, and with a single motion, he hurled the energy back. The blast tore into the vigilant crown, ripping G through decks, detonating its reactor. The flagship shuddered, flames erupting from its sides. The commander's presence in Ethan's mind flared, and then vanished. The shadow beasts turned their faceless heads toward Ethan. He felt no fear, only recognition. In the depths of his mind, words not spoken but felt whispered to him, you are ours now. Lyra's voice was tight with both awe and sorrow. Ethan, you've become the Starbreaker. Senate ships scattered in all directions, fleeing without formation. The rift's light spread, casting the battlefield in silver and black. Ethan stepped forward, the view shifting so it seemed he was walking into the light itself. He turned his head slightly toward Lyra. Tell them, he said, his voice deeper than before, layered with something ancient. Tell the galaxy what happens when they try to cage a human. The rift swallowed him, the shadow beasts following, and in the next heartbeat, the tear snapped shut. The stars were still again, but the Senate fleet was gone, and their strongest warship nothing but debris drifting in silence. Lyra sat in the cockpit, the controls dead, the ship drifting, her eyes locked on the empty space where the rift had been. In her chest, she carried the truth. Ethan Cross was gone, but somewhere out there, beyond the edge of known space, the Starbreaker walked among monsters, and the galaxy would never sleep easy again.